EnterTalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertone.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertone, brought to you by EnterTalk Radio Network. You guys, it's a Monday, June 12th. Hey man, you know, I'm proud and privileged. I brought back this amazing and iconic rock drummer who's played with the likes of John Cougar Mellencamp and currently out with John Fogerty. You guys know him worldwide as probably one of the most eclectic, just based off that tune we just heard in. You know, he's most famous for one of his greatest tunes he played drums on, a song called Jack and Diane, who's been part of our soundtrack of our teenage life as growing up. But we're going to talk more about everything that has to encompass Mr. Kenny Aronoff and a new movie that we are proud and privileged to be associated with called The Hired Gun. We're going to talk more about that. And The Hired Gun's tagline is, out of the shadows, into the spotlight. And I got to tell you, that's all about Jackie's Groove's vibe, is that we celebrate the brothers and the sisters that are below the marquee that support the guys above the marquee. But we are considered to be the elite players. So with that said, guys, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove, my brother, the crazy and ever-talented Mr. Kenny Aronoff. Kenny, welcome, brother boy.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me back. Awesome.
Man, thanks for taking the invitation, man. You know, I want to say a very special hi right now, Kenny, to your brothers out there that are responsible for this amazing documentary coming out, by the way, everybody, June 29th on 300 screens nationwide. You're going to be able to go to www.fathomevents.com/hired-gun. And you'll be able to go onto that website, put in your zip code, and it'll find out exactly where this amazing documentary will be near you. And hopefully, if it's not, it's worth the drive to get to it. And thanks to Fran Streen, and thanks to Tim and Jason and Todd. So you guys, we're here to help out, and let's rock and roll. So Kenny, let's start out with that song that we talked about on the break. How eclectic was that from what you're normally used to hearing Kenny play on? What was the genesis of that tune?
Which tune are you talking about? The Buddy Rich song or the...
Yeah, man, exactly.
Well, you know, as a kid, I mean, I was listening to jazz because that's what was on the turntables at my mom and dad's house, and they grew up in New York, so jazz was a part of their culture along with classical music.
Right.
And so, you know, I mean, I'd heard Buddy Rich, I mean, and then you see him on TV, and he was a total star. He was not just a very unique, you know, if I had to pick one jazz drummer that's the greatest of all time, it would be Buddy Rich, because he clearly was unique and in a different category than everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of great drummers, badass drummers, but there was something that he was mind-blowing and cutting edge and had his own band and was a huge personality, and he had technique that was so natural that then when he put the time in to develop it, it went light years on most people. And people are still studying, you know, his balance, his power. It's like the faster he would go, the more relaxed he would get, which is exactly what you should do. What typically people get tense when they go faster. Anyway.
You know, and I interviewed Kathy last Monday. I interviewed Kathy Rich and also and Greg Potter. So we talked everything about Betty. I'll send you the link to that. You're going to love that. We talked about you also. and which is kind of a cool correlation in itself. In fact, I think I sent an email out to you to see if I was going to have you call in and surprise them, but I think you were still out. You were in Russia. And when we had talked, so I want to tell everybody, if I want to blow smoke up Kenny's ass right now, guys, because I'm kind of blown away by these numbers. And Kenny, let me go ahead and stand up right now so you can get this the quintessential air up your ass here. But let's talk about Kenny real quick. I'm blown out of the water. The man has played on over 60 Grammy-nominated CDs, releases, recordings, 1,300 gold and platinum records, and responsible for 300 million sales and records worldwide. I think the question I want to ask you, what the fuck are you doing on Jackie's Groove, brother? And I say that with tongue in cheek. I mean, that this is an honor, man. This is an honor. You and I go back years, man, and I just welcome you back with open arms, man. I mean, the whole vibe about Kenny Aronoff, if you guys get a chance, go on to KennyAronoff.com and surround yourself by this guy's greatness. So with that said, hey, Kenny, let me just jump in here real quick. Talk to the audience, talk to your fans, talk to the listeners out there. How did the Hired Gun and its producers come to you, and did you welcome them with open arms?
Oh, yeah. No, I just got a call that said we're making this movie about Hired Gun, and I felt like I wanted to be able to tell my story. So there was no problem. It was just a schedule thing, which is a difficult thing with me. But I made time to do that in my studio. I think I interviewed for 4 or 5 hours straight. The movie is really good. I've seen it 3 times, and when it was shown, the first time I saw it was in a film festival in South by Southwest. And then this year I went up to Edmonton for a film festival where I ended up did Q&A afterwards, and I did a book signing with my book, Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll, and did a whole thing with that. And then this time in LA, I was the host on the red carpet. So I think some of that footage will be in the movie theaters, because I interview a lot of the Hired Gun people that came, and then I did a Q&A afterwards. And the point of the Hired Gun is it's just the people behind the scenes. The one thing that I felt like that wasn't in there, but I sort of mentioned it and on the red carpet, and Jay oh man, I'm spacing his name. I'll think of it. Jay Graydon, an iconic guitar player who was a session player, who then became a songwriter and a producer. And as he put it, he made so much "fuck you" money. He's doing great. But
exactly.
The point he was trying to make was he said, look, when I was in LA in the booming time of sessions, he said, I figured out, how long can I do this? Man, maybe 10, 15 years. That's about the life of a session player. But he said, he turned around, he points to me, and I didn't know this was coming. And he says, but this fucker over here has been a session drummer for 37 years and still doing it. He says, I only maybe know 4 people who've ever done that in LA. And to me, that's a serious Hired Gun. A guy, that's like the pinnacle. It just so happens I'm the guy who did it. But when you go on tour with like John Mellencamp for 17 years, then Bob Seger and Smash John Fogerty for 26 years, the Bodines 26 years on and off, Joe Cocker 10 years on and off, Melissa Etheridge 10 years on and off, Michelle Branch for a couple of years, Goo Goo Dolls, Styx, Jefferson Airplane. That's just the live stuff. 300 million records sold, genres, everything from B.B. King to Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath to Ray Charles, Rod Stewart to Elton John to the girls like Avril Lavigne, Alanis Morissette. That's a whole nother level of Hired Gun. That means this guy, that I'm committed to being a soldier where I listen, I learn, I lead, because I'm the drummer obviously, but I'm not the boss. I know my place. I know that my job is to work for somebody, and because I kept that attitude together, kept the ego at check, even though it sounds like I'm bragging, I'm just spitting out facts. But because I kept it in check, that has given me a long, sustaining career as a Hired Gun in multiple genres. And we haven't even gotten into TV, and stuff like that. It's the ability to get along with people. It's the ability to bring a lot to the table stylistically. If you want to have a full career like I did, and the reason why I'm saying a lot of it is that it's not as simple as it looks. And when people look, well, and they'll see there's some drama in the movie. You know, people committing suicide, people dying. But Rudy Sarzo, the bass player who played, his big stories about Ozzy, and he says, you know, it's really difficult to make it, but it's even more difficult to stay successful. And he's absolutely right. It's really, really difficult. You have to be willing to put in so much time to get a big break and to become successful. It's even harder to stay successful. But anyway, the only reason why I brought that up, and I'm sort of like the statistics are centered around me, is that I'm not the only guy, but there's guys like me that are out there, and I wanted to say that's the heavy of the heavy hired guns. The guys have done it for a long time and keep doing it, and that applies to anybody at any business. The person who keeps being successful, keeps adjusting to the times. The hired guy that always is he knows when to make the moves. Quit this job, move to the next one. He sees what's relevant. And isn't, doesn't just show up once you've made it and feel like you've made it for life. You never make it for life. Listen, when Jack and Diane became number one, I celebrated for 1 second, and then I got nervous about, can I do this again? How will I do this again? How do I prepare to do this again? I want to be number one not once. I want to be number one and stay number one. But, that's my DNA. And,
I love also, too, Kenny, I love also, too, when on the trailer – where you're explaining to the person when you're looking at the camera, and you said about how you got fired from the gig before and how you wanted to stay relevant, and then you did that. What do I want to call it? Almost like a drum sync, like air drums to your intro to Jack. I thought that was amazing, and also too, what I thought was fucking hysterical is I interviewed your buddy, my brother, Liberty DeVito. He was the first one of the hired gun musicians. That fist fight that you guys mocked up on the red carpet, it just, of course. That's the friend sent that to me, and Liberty sent that to me, and I just thought it was hysterical, man. You guys again go onto YouTube and type in hired gun documentary and look at this amazing. There's 1 4-minute trailer. There's another one a minute and a half, and just get the vibe, because I cannot wait to see this, because I've always been around to push the elite players. Thankfully, I'm considered to be one of the elite players also out there, but if it wasn't for the Kenny Aronoffs, if it wasn't for the Liberty DeVitos, as Liberty stated himself, Billy Joel may be the father of his music, but I'm the uncle. Yeah. And so with that said, I don't think it's any egotistical part of it. You are a hired gun, but you made that song, Jack and Diane's, your own, and the other songs that you've played on. Kenny, a lot of the artists out there want to know, was there an absolute favorite song that made it to the big time that Kenny played on that is your favorite? You want to share that with us?
I don't ever think about what's my favorite. I'm the type of guy, I do something and I put it away, and I'm always thinking, what's next? I'm more passionate about what I'm going to do than what I'm doing, and what I'm doing I love doing. So and I appreciate that too, because when I watched you on the backing so many people on the Kennedy Honors. Yeah. How many more people can you step behind? And I wanted to find out, we talked about that before, but a lot of listeners want to know, when you're hired for those shows, when you're supporting Lenny Kravitz and everybody you've played on, is that music, is there a lot of rehearsals before that, or is everything in front of you charted? That is the most difficult, that is the Super Bowl of Super Bowls. To be a musician at the Kennedy Center Honors, at least the way it was, because now the musical director, they got rid of the producer, they cleaned house. But the way it was done when I was there for 7 years is that, you have to be able to read like a mofo. There's no question. You have to be able to read, and you don't even get the songs that you're going to play until a week before. You fly in on Thursday night, you rehearse. What I do is, let me put it this way. So when I was backing up, like, let's say we're going to honor Sting, which was the last one I did, honor Sting, I'm very concerned about what the songs are, because I'm going to have to sound like Stuart Copeland and Vinnie Colaiuta, most likely. And sure enough, they picked a lot of Police songs and some Sting songs that Vinny had played on. So the first thing I do is I transcribe every note they played off the songs on the record, knowing that we're going to do a shorter arrangement of those songs. Then I go on YouTube and I look at the latest version that Sting is doing of those songs, or and then and so then I transcribe those too. Then I show up on the day of the morning, Friday morning. Granted, the show is on Sunday. This is a 16 camera shoot. It's live, recorded. You don't want to fuck up when you're a drummer. If you do, you probably won't come up. This is not any hand-holding entitlement, lazy, I'm a rock star. You are a soldier, and you got to keep your head up. And before I get into the details, another reason why a guy like me is hired is because when the Springsteens and the Stings and the Lady Gagas and the Bruno Mars and whoever else calls up and says, who's in the band, and they mention these players, and they may feel very, very comfortable knowing they have Kenny Aronoff there who's going to get the job done. And also somebody that is an ambassador that gets along with people. I can talk to any style, I can talk to Betty LaVette, this R&B singer from Detroit, and then I can talk to Elton John. Don Henley knows me. Dave Grohl knows me. Chris Cornell knows me. It's like they're not worried about, is this guy going to make a fool out of himself and represent the King Center on his wrong? It's not just how great you play. But anyway, let's go back to the morning of Friday. I get there are 2 drum sets. No, in many cases, it's 3 drum sets. One in the rehearsal room, and in most cases, I'm playing with like 2 different, I'm honoring 2 different artists. Like the first year was The Who, so I had that drum set. Then I had the drum set that was tuned and set up to honor George Jones. 2 different styles, different sounds. So I get in there, I'm all ready. The MD comes in with the charts. Now what I immediately do is I cram as fast as I can while he's talking. He tells what song we're going to do first. I take the letters from his chart and start moving over to my chart and start looking at what he cut out, and I start chopping out sections on my chart so that they're exactly in sync with the chart he just sent me, because it's impossible for me to rewrite my chart into his chart.
Kenny, I'm going to jump in here real quick. We're going to be segueing out of segment number 1. We're going to pick that up because I'm interested in it, and the listeners want to hear about it also. So you guys stick around. Don't go anywhere. Jackie Bertone, Jackie's Groove, EnterTalk Radio with my in-studio guest, Kenny Aronoff. Kenny, we'll pick that up on second segment and the process thereof. I got some other questions on top. Guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on EnterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on EnterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Hey, it's Carney Wilson, and you're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertone.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertone.
Everybody, welcome back to segment number 2 of Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertone, brought to you by EnterTalk Radio Network and All Things Music. Guys, do yourselves a favor and us a favor, please. Go to iTunes or Google Play and download our easy-to-use and navigate application. 2 words, EnterTalk the first, that's ENTERTALK, radio second. So you can take Jackie's Groove and all of the shows that we have on EnterTalk Radio on the go with you when you can't listen to us live. And I got to tell you something, that intro, I got to find out what's better because I just want to sit down with this brother one day, have some coffee, and figure out what drug he's on because I definitely want to find out what it is. And I mean that as a joke because he said to me before we got on the air, he says, what do you think about the songs that I sent you? I really had to scratch my head because to me it's not indicative to what Kenny's Groove is all about. And we're going to pick that up right now too because when we went on the first break, we talked about the difficulty of playing, again, the Super Bowl of all shows called Kennedy Center Honors. Kenny, you were talking about 3 different drum sets, but I had to ask you one question, brother. When you said you mimicked the note for note of Vinny for Sting and all the other players that you played with, was that your choice or was that the choice of the MD? Did they want you to stay true to that or was that your choice to stay true to that?
That was my choice, and I'm always like that. I've always been like that. I feel like that's a great starting point. First of all, I mean, like for example, when I did the honored Paul McCartney, I was playing all Ringo Starr parts. You damn right, I'm going to play Ringo's parts. Those parts are the beats, the feel, everything about it is iconic. And who am I? Or how about when I had to do with Lenny Kravitz, Whole Lot of Love? You think I'm not going to do every single fill, every hit that John Bonham did? Who am I to think I'm going to do it differently? Now that's just my approach. You know what I mean? That's just the way I feel like I respect these drummers and the music that they play so much. I just feel like I really should try to do it exactly like that. Now, granted, if the MD says, let's do it differently, then I'll do it differently. You know, but that's my starting point. And a lot of times we start rehearsing, we change the tempos. Lady Gaga, who was absolutely brilliant musician, she did something I never seen. Usually when we rehearse, think about being in a practice room. Usually the artist's face is out toward out in the same direction that the band is facing, to the back wall. Right. She picked up the piano, spun it around, and faced us, and goes, "Hey guys, wow, nice to meet you. How many times can I do this?" And MD said, "As many times you want." I said, "Really?" He says, "Okay, let's do 8 times." She starts working it out. She's reading the chart and actually like a real professional musician, like working out voicings, practicing. Mm-hmm. I ever lose my faith in you. Try it again. She said, "Okay, let's do it." So there's arrangement things where she'd say, actually I was the one that thought of, in that last chorus, because they were trying to thin it out, I went, why don't we just drop out and let her do it by herself? And which was stunning in the performance because she, she can improvise. She improvised so much she stood up and pointed to Sting, which is where the president was. And, you know, I'm the one supposed to bring the band in. And I'll never forget, I could see about 15 eyeballs or 30 eyeballs looking at me like, and I could feel different people going like, you should bring it in now. And I'm like, no, I know when to bring it in. I want to let her do her last line and then create pause so that everybody's like, holy shit, what's going to happen now? Pop, and then bring them in just a little bit, like it's going to be too long, but it's not. And oh man, so we changed some of the arrangements, but basically that's the way I start. And then at night, what I'll do? Okay, so we run through the rehearsal without the artist, all the songs. Then I go running to the fitting room, get fitted for Sunday. You know, what we're going to wear. You know, I don't wear a jacket. I wear a vest. And then they approve everything that's going on camera. Then I go back and we rehearse with the artist those songs. Then when they leave then that's the full day. I go back to my hotel and I go out to dinner. And I rewrite all the charts that I did that day because I've got notes everywhere and rewrite all the charts. That could take 4 hours. Next day we show up. We go to the main stage now on my other kit, second kit, and we start doing camera blocking with it, which is how we're going to bring people in, how we're going to run these songs together. There's usually 7 artists filming to represent. Like, for example, when we did honoring Sting, you had Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, you had, I'm spacing who else, but you had Bruce Springsteen, and you have these different, you have to practice the segue of running, and this is where I get involved with knowing the show, getting the script of the show. I go over the starting the entrances and the endings with the MD and the stage manager. I need to know when to count the band in if I'm the one doing it, or when to give the MD the tempo so he can count the band in. I know every entrance and every exit for every artist, and then I'm starting to get my charts in order so I can practice whipping one off, resetting the metronome while I'm playing one song with cameras on me, moving this over there. I rehearse all of that because shit will go wrong. We're only human. So we do the camera block, then we go back downstairs and start rehearsing like if I'm doing like the first year where I did, The Who and George Jones. Go back down. Now we start rehearsing the George Jones stuff, and then the artists who are going to sing the George Jones segment, they come in. Then it's nighttime again. I go back. I rewrite all those charts and tweak the charts for the what I was doing on stage. Let's say the Sting section, and then it's now Sunday, day of the show. We come in. We rehearse. Usually, a couple of guys show up. Day of the show, like Willie Nelson or Garth Brooks, the big stars. We rehearse with them for the first time, day of the show, go up, do a camera block for their stuff. Then we run the entire show, full cameras, with no artists. They're recording it, they're filming it, they're getting the band shots that they'll use later. Then we have a 2-hour break. In that time, I go back to the hotel, I pick up my wife, I close my eyes, and chill for about 15 minutes. Then I start running the show over and over and over again until the show starts. Or until, I go in the green room. But when the show starts, I go in the green room. That's where, you get to hang out with people like De Niro and, everybody. I mean, John Lithgow. I mean, senators, famous, Meryl Streep. They're all in there. And then I'm ready, man. I am pumped. I've got everything sorted out. And every time when I get in that seat, and I'm like, something usually goes wrong, and I have to be prepared to solve the problem. It's like being in the Super Bowl. You're prepared, but shit happens. And I know that going in, that something will probably go wrong, and you're going to have to fix it. You're going to have to be a problem solver. Like, I won't mention the artist, but there was a guy who was supposed to hold a note. He was honoring Neil Diamond. He was supposed to hold a note for 6 beats. So it'd be a 6/4 measure. Instead of holding a note, he just went, da-da, he stopped singing. And it threw me off. I look at the MD, and he's holding the note as if he was singing it. And I know I'm the guy that's got to bring the band in. And I brought the band, like I hit the snare drum on the floor time on beat 6 to bring the band in.
Right.
And when we got done with that was the finale of the entire Kennedy Center Honors. The MD said something, mumbled something, and I couldn't hear him. And I was thinking, well, I probably came in too late or something. And then he mumbled something again. I went, yeah. And then he stood up and went, everybody, let's give Kenny Aronoff a hand for bringing us back in. I didn't know I was the hero, but I was. But I think.
Hey, Kenny, let me ask you a question real quick here, because this is on my mind as a hired gun myself. When you mentioned on the last segment, the fact is that you're sitting there and you guys are doing a dry run and then a full rehearsal without the artist that you're performing for and with. Is there a different vibe after mashing it up and doing such a great rehearsal? Does the vibe change better or worse, or is it just the same when the artist joins? For instance, with for the Sting or with Lady Gaga, did the vibe change when the lead vocalist came in and started singing with you guys, or was it just status quo?
No, it's all A+. But when the singer, someone like Lady Gaga or Sting or Springsteen sings, it's chillingly better. But everybody's. We're all professionals, so we understand. Mm-hmm. I always play with power and passion or finesse or whatever it is. I play with 100%. That's what I'm saying. But when the singer shows up, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I maintain that position. But if the singer gives more, I compensate and go with them. So, like, for example, when she was singing, Lady Gaga singing "If I Ever Lose My Faith," it's just a cool groove. I don't got, got keeping it percolating like that. But then she started like really doing her thing. So I started putting a little teeny bit more variety and accents and a little bit of simple little fills, little tweaks to go with her, but not losing that tempo and feel that everybody was used to hearing at rehearsals. I just give a little bit more, bring it up 3 degrees, because she did.
Now, Kenny, let me ask you this question also. Here you're talking about all these great anecdotes right now with Jackie on my show. Were you able to translate and transpose this to the cameras for the hired gun? Did they give you enough airtime so you can actually enthrall them like I'm enthralled with the situation? Could you really draw a picture for the audience during this movie production?
Well, they focused, for my segment, they decided to use the Jack and Diane, the Mellencamp thing. They were trying to make a movie here, or a documentary. So they grabbed the segments that they think will make that particular documentary great. So, like I said, I talked for 4 or 5 hours, so they only grabbed, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes of me. So, yeah, they grabbed that story, but they didn't capture, like, what I'm talking right now. This is what I was trying to get at. I wish they had caught some of this behind-the-scenes stuff, like at Kennedy Center Honors or working, with Billy, just the hired gun, not just being in a famous rock band thing, but the hired gun, like somebody at the Kennedy Center Honors or somebody who does, I'll give you 2 scenarios. I literally walked out of doing Blaze of Glory with Bon Jovi. The next 2 days with Elton John. Next 4 days with Bob Seger. Next 3 or 4 days I went to Atlanta, did the Indigo Girls, took the red eye, came back, or took a plane and came back and did Willie Nelson, went back to Bob Seger. No days off. That was my life. Another time, a 2-week period, I'm rehearsing with the iconic John Fogerty, doing Creedence Clearwater, songs he hadn't done in 20 years. From 12 o'clock to 6 p.m. From 6 to 7, I drive to Rumbo Studios in the Valley. I record with Roy Bittan from Springsteen's band. He's producing an artist from Boston. From 11 o'clock to midnight, from 11 to 11:30, I get to Ocean Way, and I start recording until 5 in the morning with the Rolling Stones. And then I did that for 2 weeks, and on the weekend I did Bon Jovi. That was my life. That is what...
I don't know.
They didn't capture that in the movie.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm exhausted just from that explanation right now. I mean, that is the position of a hired gun. Again, too, they're going to hire Kenny Aronoff because they know he's not going to bitch and do the wow situations. He knows he's going to beat it. And God bless Kenny, being gainfully employed. I mean, that as a working musician is difficult as it is. But when you are in that genre of players that you're talking about, you've got to be knocked out. I don't care if you're Kenny Aronoff. Are you still pinching yourself when you are performing with these artists? Is there still an aha moment for you every time around?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, when you're playing with Springsteen and Sting, or you're playing with even Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, for the first time. Not even the first time. I played Springsteen 3 times in 1 year. I'm very cool. And I'm used to this being in the Super Bowl, but it's still very exciting, and it is the highest level. And I feel very comfortable. I feel I belong there. I don't ever get nervous. People ask me this. I don't get nervous anymore. I just get serious. I take it very seriously. It's like serious. It's like when I played, one of the pinching moments was when I played with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, honoring them for the Ed Sullivan Show, which I had seen 50 years later. At 11 years old, I turned to my mom and said, "I want to be in the Beatles. Call them up." And that obviously didn't happen. I was just a kid. So I'm playing with them, and I'm playing, with Dave Grohl and Jeff Lynne and Joe Walsh and Brad Paisley and Keith Urban and John Mayer and on and on and on. That whole show is exactly what I was saying. I took it very, very seriously. I did not celebrate. I tried to ignore who I was playing with and focus on doing my job. In between set changes, all I did was have a metronome in my ear. I was practicing the count off and the first 4 measures of every song. And I would change like a chameleon and get into the vibe of this next song. So when the teleprompter got to the part where I'm supposed to count off, I was like, I'd done it 10, 15 times, and so now I was just doing it the 16th time. And I was spot on. And I have to admit, I saw that show and I nailed everything. That was because I made it happen. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like, let's smoke a joint and vibe it out. This was fucking serious, calculated like a guy going up into space. You go over and over and over the things you need to do to make yourself execute and reach your goals. I mean, dude, it's not by mistake.
Kenny. Here we go, baby. We're gonna pick that up on the 3rd. Believe it, just rocket ships by each one of these segments. So don't go anywhere. You guys, please. I hope you're enjoying as much as I do with Kenny Aronoff, Jackie Bertone, Jackie's Groove, EnterTalk Radio Network. Segment number 3 coming up. Let's reel it all in. Bring it the business to Mr. Kenny Aronoff. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on EnterTalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on EnterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Shelly Sondheim, President CEO of CSM Words and Music. You're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertone.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertone.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the final segment of a one-hour interview with Mr. Kenny Aronoff. You know what, man? I got to tell you, I enjoy what we talk about when you guys can't hear what we talk about as much as what I'm talking about with you guys live. You know, and I want to bring this up because, you know, Kenny, the whole idea of our involvement, EnterTalk Radio and Jackie's Groove with Fathom Events and The Hired Gun is because there is a lot of B-roll that is left on, on the cutting room floor, for the lack of a better term, you know, and who knows, maybe fingers crossed that B-roll could be picked up for a hired gun too. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. But based upon that situation, you know, again, you said 5 hours of conversation with you. It only breaks down to 5 minutes of what made it on there. And some people had more airtime that maybe was deserving or not, but who knows what that situation's all about. But the fact is, what we're hoping to do here is to pick up that slack and give artists like you more airtime that you deserved or didn't deserve on the film. So, you know, we're all kind of working in unison together with this great organization, and we really, really appreciate it by all means. And so with that said, I got to ask you a question, my brother. Other than being an amazing drummer and also an amazing author in all your books, what's coming up for Kenny? What can we look for other than the debut of this great documentary? What's on your agenda? What's on your plate coming up in the near future?
Well, like I said before, I'm more excited about the future than the present, but I love what I'm doing in the present. I got a pretty good life. And what's coming I'm about a fourth away through a new book. My you know, making all those records and doing all those tours and you know, being, you know, I'm in the Letterman show 75 times and the Grammys and Oscars and Kennedy Center and on and on and on and on and all this stuff. And I write the book, which I got talked into writing, Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll. And anybody wants to get it, it's on Amazon.com. I went back and I went, holy shit, how did I do this? And I came up with a thing called, you know, it's like 7 ways to rock your life and career. I came up with, I looked at, I said, if I had to explain this to somebody, how did you do all this shit? And I came up with 7 things. Let's see, I'll say them real quick. First one, self-discipline. It all starts there. Second one, hard work fueled by passion and education. Those 2 things together is what propels you through life. Third thing is you have to create a plan, execute it, which a lot of people don't do, to reach your goal. I've done that 4 times in big goals. All right, the fourth thing is, you know, teamwork, communication skills. That's being able to get along with people so that you can work with all these different people. Let's get Kenny. I want Kenny on the bus because he's fun. He's a great player, but he's a good guy. Okay, the fifth thing is RPS, which is the repetition of anything. Whether it's repetition of anything is the preparation for success. You want to be a good golfer, you have to swing the thing six hours a day, 7 days a week. Same with drumming, percussion. The sixth thing is a healthy life, is a wealthy life. And I get into, how you have to be mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy to do anything. Everything else goes to shit if you're not healthy. And finally, 7, stay relevant, stay focused, because the world is changing so fast. I mean, who would have thought LPs would go to cassettes, to CDs, to downloading, to streaming, to subscription series, to who knows what. So I came up with these things, and then I thought, okay, that's going to be my second book, because I didn't have, talk about cutting. I cut 300 pages out of my 300-page book. It was 600 pages. There's a lot on the floor that could be, I could talk about, like the thing with me and Cameron Diaz that never happened but almost happened, that kind of thing. But so I started to write this second book, and suddenly it dawned on me. So these are the things I did to become successful. But what made me do that? Why did I start practicing? The day after I graduated high school, where everyone starts partying their brains out, I started practicing 8 hours a day because I was terrified of not being great. I announced to the world, I am going to be a musician. I already was a musician, but now I was going to go to college to study music. And it's kind of like really making a commitment. And this was classical music because, well, if anybody's listening to radio, that marimba concerto that you heard was me at 23. Mm-hmm. I played a violin concerto. I saw Itzhak Perlman, the Israeli virtuosic violinist, perform. And I knew I had to do in my senior recital a marimba piece, and I chose a violin concerto, which to play at that level was 3 hours a day for 365 days. I mean, it was a non-stop commitment to playing at that level. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that I came up with this thing. I was terrified to fail. And this book sort of turned into, are you living your life loud, or are you fucking dying on the vine? That's what this book's about. Are you fucking living your life dying? Are you doing enough? Are you doing enough to make yourself get the most out of this short life we're in? And if you're not, shame on you. You're letting yourself down, and you're letting everybody around you down. I know it's really, very hardcore what I'm saying, but I really believe this. And so not everybody is wired the same way, but I'm saying do the best that you can at where you're at and what you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
This is not a dress rehearsal, brother. This is a one-time thing. I mean, you got to take advantage and strike while iron's hot for the lack of. And what I'm not going to allow you to do, you just brought us something a couple seconds ago. You think I'm going to let you walk away from this? You're crazy. I know you're happily married. I'm happily married. But what is it that you were talking about with you and Cameron Diaz? And come on, brother, dish on that. Don't walk away.
That's book 4. No.
Is that what it is?
No, I didn't put this in the book, and now I regret. They told me not to, but I should have, because here was the point. Nothing happened between us. I can't guarantee she would have, but it was I was recording with Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath and Billy Corgan from the Pumpkins for a Tony Iommi record. 13-hour day, 45-minute break. A real intense day of recording. We just come off the Pumpkins tour, so I was pretty beat up. I come back to the hotel, Sunset Marquis, serious rock and roll hotel. And so there's always somebody in there, the U2, some of the guys from the Stones, it could be the Black, it just tons of rock and roll bands stay there. It used to be the place. So they had a bar called the Whiskey Bar, and I come in there and I'm having we were so busy we couldn't even get in the bar. So me and Tony Iommi are having a drink with his manager, Ralph Baker, and all of a sudden I see, the first shocking thing was I'd only been out of the Mellencamp band for 2 years. The bass player comes flying through the lobby, really pissed off. I went, "Hey, Toby, what's going on?" He gets in the elevator and he's gone. I walk into the bar and there's the Mellencamp band, which was a little bit of a awkward thing. They didn't know, well, is it, I'm like, I don't care, whatever. And so I dealt with that. Then I see the tour manager, 6'9" Goliath of a guy, Gooch, pointing to me, "Come over here." And I'm like, that look on his face was like, oh, man, something's going to go down. He's going to fuck with me. And so what it was that there was a guy that was talking to this beautiful girl, and it was Cameron Diaz. She'd just done her big debut, big movie, What About Mary or something. So the guy that happened to be talking to her with his back to me was Jimmy Chamberlain, the drummer from the Pumpkins. Gooch thought it would be funny to see what would happen between the two of us. Well, what happened was, he had a couple of drinks, and he turns around. Gooch taps him on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Jimmy, meet Kenny Aronoff. Kenny, meet Jimmy." And he just wanted to see what was going to happen. I was shaking hands, and Jimmy says something, and I'm all stressed out from all the shit that's going on. Jimmy says something like kind of funny and smart-ass, so I reply even more smart-ass. We start shaking hands, and we're gripping tighter, and finally Jimmy goes, turns out, why am I talking to this guy when I got this beautiful girl I'm talking to? So I stood there and I went, shit, that's not the way I wanted to meet Jimmy. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, Jimmy, dude, I am so honored to be playing in your band. Dude, this is not the way I wanted to meet you. Man, you rock. I fucking love your drumming. Dude, I could never play the way you play, so I play the way I play. And, I just apologized. And he went, oh, cool, man. And that was that. I went back out to the lobby. When the bar started to close, which was not too long after, Cameron Diaz comes up to me, sits on my lap, puts her arms around me, puts her mouth on my ear, which is enough to make me just go into the moon, and says, man, I heard what you said to Jimmy. That was really cool. That was so cool. And she backs up in that ridiculous smile. And at that moment, typical of me, I would normally go, all right, well, I have a room upstairs. You want some drinks? Let's make this a wild night. I would have made that play. Not that she would have gone for me, but it sure felt like it could have happened. And at that point, that would be a normal procedure for me. The reason why they said you can't put that in a book. It sounds like you're just name dropping. But the point is I should have put that in the book, because the reason why I didn't even flirt or do anything was all I was thinking is I have to record tomorrow with Tony Iommi and Billy Corgan for 12 hours, and this is more important than any wild night with anybody. That's the point of the story.
Well, here's the title. Here's the title for your new book, my brother. It's called "If I Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda" by Kenny Aronoff. I mean, this is something you can definitely put in your background, because I recorded years ago with Brian Wilson and a song called "South American" with Jimmy Buffett. And it's all about their crush on Cameron Diaz. Both Brian Wilson and Jimmy Buffett both love Cameron Diaz, and she knows that. And she was actually honored to have them write a song with, two of her musical idols, and so on. And with Cameron Diaz, I'm not going to turn this into the Cameron Diaz minute here, but that fact is, something to me is the most sexiest thing about that woman is that goofy ass laugh that she has.
Yeah.
And that's that vibe. I mean, we can do a whole nother show on just all of the femme fatales that have graced your shows or walked past you. And but again, too, they can be as wonderful as they are. But the bottom line is, with your beautiful wife and my beautiful wife, they're the ones that won. And God knows they deserve a Medal of Honor for putting up with the fucks that we are. And I'm speaking for myself, and I'm sure that you're walking in my shoes also. So God bless the girls out there that that support these crazy guys called musicians. And it's definitely something that I'm sure that nothing that counseling couldn't take care of. So, and Kenny, let me ask you this question, brother. Is there anything in the LA area coming up that we're going to be able to see you live-wise? Because I want to talk to you about what I've got coming up on NAMM this year. Are you going to be in town for NAMM?
Who knows? I never know where I am. By January, I have no idea. But I'm filming a documentary. I'm starting it this week. Somebody from Kodak, one of the big CEOs of Kodak Film, approached me to do a Kenny Aronoff documentary, which I'm excited about, because I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that wasn't in Hired Gun and go even deeper. Working, working with Leonard Bernstein and going to a master class and seeing the way this guy could read a full orchestral score with it's unbelievable how he ties it into the history of Europe and how they changed this note and that note to create this sound. And you're like, oh, my God, I know that sound. It went from, it's unbelievable. And then there's so many stories. And the documentary isn't going to be about a drummer. it's going to be what I learned from being a drummer. Drumming is just the thing I did in life. It's more about the life lessons, what I have achieved as a human being, and it's going to be pretty heavy. So that's what I'm working on as far as the local performances. Just doing mostly sessions, the documentary. There's a bunch of things that people. There's a bunch of other stuff going on that I can't really speak about because it's not happened. But
that's okay.
It's basically taking the Kenny Aronoff brand and blowing it up. That's what's happening. And so we'll see what happens.
And whatever we can do to help promote that, brother boy, because you've helped us out immensely with your showing up on my show, and so whatever we can do to extend the olive branch back to you, by all means, don't be hesitant to ask, and we'll be here for you. And, and also too, the whole thing we're doing here with Kenny and with Liberty and with Fran Stream, the producer director of The Hired Gun, and again too, the website, the URL you can go visit is www.fathomevents.com/hired-gun for everything that's got to do with the movie and so on. Again, definitely check out that trailer. And also want everybody to take the time also to visit www.kenny.com so you can keep abreast. In fact, I love the site. You've updated your site, brother. It looks really, really good.
I didn't even talk about this.
Go ahead.
I got a landing page. It's going to come out. I have a show called the Kenny Aronoff Experience. It's a speaking thing, but it's a real show. The Kenny Aronoff Experience: 7 Ways to Rock Your Life and Career. It's basically about preparing, performing, and persisting to be successful at anything in life. And that's going to be a whole new website for just that. And my new website, the website you're talking about, KennyAronoff.com, I'm going to be reworking that a little bit. I just want to say that. But that's a thing that I'm going to be launching, that new website, the landing page for my speaking business, which is going to have a lot of inspirational videos on it, short ones. And you may start seeing me flying around this country doing a bunch of speaking things, for corporations, but it may be in theaters too, because I've done it in theaters in certain places.
Yeah, well, and we'll definitely stay in contact with Joanne Geffen because she's really one that's helping us out with everything that's got to do with Kenny. Kenny, can you believe it, man? We're on the last 45 seconds of this show. Our feeds are blowing up. People are really, really excited. In fact, a lot of people are upset they're not able to listen to it right now. So as I said before, once it's archived, I will send you the link. It can go on your fan page, on your own personal page, because people want to know about it. And again, everybody at Fathom Events is very, very grateful for you participating. And again, too, this coming Wednesday, I will have friends Strain on. We'll talk more in depth with that and maybe why there were some things left out. It was time constraints, or it wasn't apropos. Who knows? We'll find out more. And we've got Rudy Sarzo coming on and so on. So we'll talk more in depth of the of everything that has to do with the making of The Hired Gun. So with that said, Kenny, thank you, brother. I love you, man. Thank you so much for gracing my shows. Everybody else, this is Jackie Bertone. Jackie's Groove by EnterTalk Radio Network. Please say goodbye to my dear friend, Mr. Kenny Aronoff. Kenny, Godspeed, my brother, and peace through music.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say Fran Stone did an excellent job of that documentary. You can't put everything in, but he did it. He made a great documentary as far as that.
This is Jackie Bertone from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on EnterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.